All right. Hello, everyone, and good afternoon. My name is Candace Judy, and I'm one of our Vice Presidents of Pharmacy Retail Operations here at McKesson. My role is to help support our McKesson customers and the sales team, and I support the markets in the Central East and the Ohio Valley. So really, my role is to act as a business consultant on all of our McKesson solutions, resources, tools that are available to our customers. So today, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Shada Chowdhury and Trent Thede. Shada is the owner of Palms Pharmacy in Tampa, Florida. She has more than 20 years of pharmacy experience. And Trent is the president of PAAS National and has an extensive community pharmacy background. Both of these leaders know exactly what it takes to help pharmacies win when it comes to audits. So Trent, do we have the slide? Yep. So if you go to the next one. So we know audits are not going to be decreasing anytime in the near future, so why not take some time to talk about a potential solution to help our pharmacies with that? So I'll turn it over to the two of you.
All right, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. It's great to be here. We're going to talk a little bit about PAAS. I'm going to ask Shada some questions about her experience with PAAS, but a little bit about our company. We've been in business for more than 30 years, helping independent community pharmacies in their dealings with PBMs. So we know what's at stake, what's at risk when it comes to audits. A few things just in the last year. So we saw a 17% increase in audits year over year, 22 to 23. On-site audits doubled for pharmacies, so more pharmacies are experiencing on-site audits. And actually, initial recoupments are up 60%, 60, year over year. So the initial audit findings for pharmacies in 23 were $25,000 for a single audit. So extreme amount of financial pressure at stake when it comes to audits. When it comes to PAAS, like I said, we've been doing it for a long time. We have 4 pharmacists on staff, 7 certified technicians. All day long, we are reviewing audits for pharmacies, looking at audits, navigating. We have members, 5,500 members, all 50 states, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. And last year, we reviewed 10,000 audits. So when you look at the scope and the breadth of what knowledge we can help bring to the table, both proactively and reactively. When you think about some of the education and training things that we offer, we do a lot. A lot of people think audit assistance as just being, oh, when I get an audit, I can contact you. Audit assistance is so much more than that. We do a lot of proactive education and training with our services. And it starts with our newsline. Every month, we write 12 articles talking about what kinds of things we're seeing on audits, what to do, what not to do, what Optum is targeting, what Caremark is doing with proof of copay collection. So trying to educate and make pharmacies aware. We email that to every pharmacy. We physically mail that to your location so that it gets passed around and shared with your audit team. Everyone in the pharmacy can receive that email. In addition, we produce day supply charts to help train new technicians on how to make sure they're filling and billing claims accurately. The more you can be proactive and reduce claims liability, the better off your pharmacy will be, the less likely you are to get audits. So being able to do some of those things. We have proactive tips and tools and a ton of resources. We host on-demand webinars to help train and educate staff about all the things that we can do. And when you get involved in an audit, PAAS helps you end to end. So we have you send the audit notice to us. We'll walk you through it, talk through any concerns. You'll pull documentation. We help review your prescriptions. We tell you what we see from an auditor eye, what kinds of things may or may not be problems, what you can do and what you can't do prior to submission. Submit it to the PBM, and then we help you navigate that appeals process. When PAAS gets involved at the start of an audit, our 5-year average is an 89% reduction in audit findings, so very significant. But it's important that not only are you responding to the audit, but engaging us early in the process so that you can help navigate that. I said all that. I think the other thing that I have, peace of mind, and when it comes to navigating there's a couple of components to this. It's very important that we act in an honest and ethical behavior when working with our members. We've been in business for 30 years. We don't get to be that way by telling people to cheat or do things unethically. So we're very ethical when it comes to that, navigating and guiding pharmacies through what to do. Sometimes pharmacies can create more problems for themselves pre-audit and submitting documentation than if they just appeal issues on the back end. So Very important to do that. PAAS has always been a strong advocate and defender for pharmacies. We do not take a percentage of any savings. All the savings that we can help you get are yours. We don't take a percentage. We don't charge based on the audit. All of our services are all inclusive. Whether you have a couple of audits a year, we have some pharmacies that have 30 plus audits a year, and there aren't any additional charges or fees. Anything and everything that we can do for you within our services is yours to keep. As a membership-driven organization, we have a greater than 90% renewal rate from all of our members. We don't have auto renewals. People make a very conscious decision to join us year after year, which helps us get our reputation. So I'm very proud to have Shada, who I consider a friend, here on the stage with me today, and a couple of questions about her experience with our audit services that she can speak to. So Shada, as I look back at your history with PAAS, I noticed that you joined PAAS very early in your pharmacy's infancy. Can you talk about what kind of drove you to make that decision versus being reactive or getting audits? Why did you join so early on?
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Trent. Well, I joined PAAS in 2016. We opened the pharmacy back in 2016, and audits back when I was a retail pharmacist were huge, and they would have me do all the audits. So I knew how important it was, and when I found out about your company, someone that can be there and help me through it and be the second pair of eyes, I jumped on that bandwagon. So you guys, well, I'll go into my stories with you, but I was trying to be proactive and just help have a pair of hands to hold my hands, not a pair, just hands to hold as we go along that audit trail.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's great. And so what kind of things, how does having PAAS help you navigate and resolve challenges? What kind of things do we do for you?
Oh, you do a lot for me. So as soon as I get that lovely fax, everybody gets like, oh, God. And it always happens when you are on vacation, always. You come back, it's on your desk, you're like, damn. Okay, so first thing you do is scan that into your system, and then you send it over to PAAS. And then you wait for that phone call. And they immediately, I would say within a day, they give you a call and say, hey, this is what you need to do to prepare for this audit, which is fantastic. And you are assigned a account manager?
An analyst, yeah.
An analyst
Yep.
for that particular audit that walks you through how and what, hey, this is what you need to do. And I think I've been through mostly all of your staff. So, so they're phenomenal folks. They have helped me throughout the process. So once they give me the go, hey, this is what you need for your audit, I'll fax them prescriptions. They really request maybe 5, 10, 15 prescriptions, not 200.
It depends. It truly depends on the size of the audit. If their Optum is known for their 40 prescription desk audits, which is their traditional size, and those are kind of automatic. We'll take 40 script desk audits and we'll review everything you have on a 40. If it's a 200 or a rather large audit, we start with a sample, but we always base it on the experience of the member, what we find even with reviewing the sample. If we see a lot of issues or challenges, we're going to continue to ask for prescriptions to review to help make sure that the pharmacy is successful. We're very interested in making sure that the pharmacy is successful on their audit. We don't want to have problems. We don't want to have anything that comes up or crops up. So very much dedicated to making sure you have a good experience and navigating that audit with success.
Oh, it's fantastic just to have the extra pair of eyes again on those prescriptions. So once they review my prescriptions, they will tell me what they're looking for, and then I'll gather everything and I'll send it over and put the little God bless sign on it, and hopefully I'll send it off to them, and then we'll get something back. Hopefully not, but.
Yeah. Wonderful. So what do you find most valuable about our services? What do you like the best or unique for your pharmacy?
I love the one-on-one with my analyst. In addition to that, the news line. I'm sure everybody gets that. And you get, I think when you renew, you get these stock cards of all the day supply, and just to have that posted in your pharmacy, especially your new hires that do not know day supply, God bless them, with their eye drops. It's great to have that reference. But that news line, that monthly news line, just the updates, like who knew Manjaro at that time that we needed diagnosis codes and all that stuff? You were one of the first ones out there to give all of us the heads up. So that was great to have you, your company, on our side.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, wonderful. So how has having PAAS changed how you manage and respond to audits and compliance?
Oh, God. Hold on. I'm going to refer to my lovely notes.
You're good.
Okay, so with the audits, again, your second set of eyes has helped me. I've had this one big audit, but I will go back a little bit more on how I have met Trent. We're going to go into the story. We were out to this big dinner, and there's this guy sitting across from me with this, do you remember this? This shirt that says PAAS. I'm like, who's this guy sitting across from me? And it's like all these folks and stuff. I'm like, do you work for PAAS? He's like, yeah, I do. And then we just started talking, and then months go by, and all of a sudden I get this, this invoice audit from Caremark. And it was a life-changing audit from Caremark. It was a lot of zeros. And then I was like, hey, I remember this guy sat across from me. So I sent it off to PAAS. And then they called me. And then they said, hey, yeah, Trent is going to call you. He has helped me throughout this horrible process. So if and when you guys trust me, they are here to help you. They are an advocate for you, and they will do whatever it takes to assist you. And you're not alone. You're definitely not alone in this process. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, you're most welcome. And as I've stated, we have members all 50 states, Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. So we're very much, even if it's a regional payer, even if it's a state Medicaid plan, we work on all of them. We have experience with all of them. My entire team has been with PAAS a number of years, and all have experience understanding, navigating, providing guidance and support to make sure that you feel supported throughout that audit process. It can be very scary. Pharmacy owners don't have time to be audit experts. You're running your business. There are a ton of other things going on. And so the more money we can put back in your pocket, the more and the better we feel about our job and how we provide services to you. So we're very dedicated for that. Shauna, my last question for you, and we can certainly open it up for questions, is what kind of tangible benefits? Obviously, pharmacy owners have compression of margin, they're running on things, and so another expense sometimes feels like it's a challenge. How do you feel like PAAS has benefited from you, and whether it's a return on investment or otherwise, how has that worked for you over the last 8 years or so?
So I'm glad that you do not take a percentage of our audits, because if you did, gosh, holy smokes. So the reason why I'm audited is because just wanted to tell you that we're very brand heavy and we have very high dollar products. So that is why we are audited, which is fine. We have nothing to hide. So they have saved me on record now, a lot of zeros, but it's over $500,000, but now with this audit, it'll be close to $1 million they have saved me. So right now we're just waiting for the final, which was supposed to be this week. Caremark pushed it back another 2 weeks, but that's okay. We'll give them their time. And I wouldn't, trust me, I felt so alone. And just to have Trent there was, it was a pretty horrible experience. And just to have him in our corner was phenomenal. So thank you for that.
Wonderful. It's been my pleasure. So with that, we can certainly open it up to questions. I'm happy to talk about our services, more what we do, what we're seeing on audits, audit questions. Happy to take anything.
So we've got a couple of mics in the area, so if anyone has a question, please feel free. Oh, Shada.
I have a question. What is the top 3 products that are audited right now?
Well, it's always dollar, right? There's not much randomization. There's a few states that require randomization with PBM reform, which is always great, but it's often high dollar. We just wrote an article about Optum's prescription validation requests. Most pharmacies see these. Optum is notorious for these. They're the vast majority of them. But these are these kind of prepay, same day, next day. We want to see the script that you submitted. And actually, we've seen a shift in the first half of 24. It used to be all the insulin products. And really, with the drop in the AWP and WAC on insulins at the beginning of the year, they're now shifting to GLP-1s, which is no surprise. GLP-1s have always kind of been there, but really we were seeing Lantus and Novolog and Levemir kind of leading the way, and now we're seeing the Ozempics and the Mounjaros leading the way on the prescription validation request. So there's been a little bit of a shift there. We still see and warn pharmacies about pancreatic enzymes. Those are a huge target as well. There aren't really generics out there, just different brand name versions. We've seen challenges with Creon because Creon, and I'll preach this one, went to must be dispensed in the original container for all strengths. It used to just be 3,000 unit Creon, which came in a glass bottle, so that's usually an indication. But now it's all strengths, and PBMs know and look for that. It's a very easy logic for them to say, we know that the quantity you build is not divisible by a package size that's available from the manufacturer. We know you didn't dispense it in the original packaging, and we're going to recoup. The argument, as you should all be frustrated with, is, so why don't you just stop it at adjudication if it's a problem, instead of coming back and trapping us later on or coming back a year later? And of course, it's a revenue source for them. So very frustrating indeed, but we want to warn and educate. So we have things like a dispense in original container chart. If you haven't stopped by our booth, they're out there. They're laminated so you can have them at your workstations, things like that. I didn't mention but we also educate like on biologics and understanding when can I substitute biologics, understanding biologic terminology, what is an interchangeable biosimilar, when can I freely substitute. Those are targets. If a PBM sees that you billed for Novolog and you turn around and bill Humalog because of a formulary change, but you didn't get the okay from the doctor, they know very quickly if that adjudication happened within a minute that you didn't reach out to the doctor and call. And so they're likely to audit those claims to see if you have appropriate documentation to authorize those kinds of substitutions. So with Humira and all the interchangeable biosimilars and biosimilars on the marketplace, it just gets incredibly complex. And then these unbranded biologics where they're like authorized generics, not found in the purple book. So knowing when you can really substitute, all that stuff, our team helps support. Another thing that I didn't mention with Shada is she uses us all the time for what we call member service questions. I have a question about this prescription. I'm not sure if I can do this. I have a question about mailing out. What are the risks when mailing out prescriptions? Oh, we have a ton of information for you. Are you mailing out of state? Who are you mailing for? And we can help provide and guide you through that process. So again, being proactive. Don't wait until you get that audit notice from Humana and you learn that they prohibit mailing, right? Those are things that we want to be proactive with so that you're not facing these big recoupments.
I had another question.
This was not scripted.
It's not scripted, I swear. So also another audit was COVID tests.
Yeah.
Because now those are coming back. Any about that?
So we've seen various audits on COVID tests, depending on the payer, depending on the situation. So OTC COVID tests in particular, one of the things that PAAS did very early on is we created a form for pharmacies to use to make sure that you're documenting patient requests to fill. We've seen some problems where pharmacies perhaps were auto-refilling or putting refills instead of it should be the patient that initiates a request. We've run into some problems with state Medicaid plans where pharmacies are potentially over-dispensing or billing 30 tests in 30 days and then auto-refilling those where they get to be very problematic for owners. So we do see some tests. I would say that's the minority. Like we don't see a ton of OTC COVID tests, and usually when we see them, they're typically egregious. Sometimes there's a little bit of procurement challenges, especially early on with COVID, where you're getting the test from, can you prove, and there isn't, OTC items are exempt from DSCSA, so there isn't always this pedigree that comes along with it. So there's a host of challenges that we help pharmacies kind of navigate. But the tests haven't been, I wouldn't say it's, if you've been dispensing them eight tests in 30 days and doing that regularly, I wouldn't be concerned or get worried about it, but we have seen some related to that for sure. Great questions.
All
there's
right.
some.
We've got one down here.
Yeah, we're doing good on time. Yeah.
So we had a Optum audit, an on-site audit, and they actually audited 2 of our state Medicaid claims. Luckily, they didn't take any money back, but what would have the protocol been had they done that?
In terms of responding to or appealing through, so Optum will still, if they're doing the on-site audit, we're going to follow the Optum appeals process to walk through that. A lot of state Medicaids, it very much differs by state, what state you're in, because some states are straight fee-for-service, some states have managed Medicaid, and some states, like Wisconsin, where I'm located, OIG does the audits. The same thing for Michigan, and so those in Texas. Those are very intense states where you have people outside the practice of pharmacy doing audits, and a very different approach in terms of how you need to respond and engage with those. So very much state-specific, but if the PBM is the driving auditing force, you're going to follow the normal Optum process. Assuming they have the authority and appropriateness to audit those claims, I'm assuming they do, or it's under a managed Medicaid plan. But we would follow their Optum appeals process. And Optum, right, very important to know that there are processes within Optum or any other payer. When you get final results from Optum, those aren't final. They have a pharmacy audit review committee that you can appeal to. The pharmacy audit review committee, called PARC, doesn't take new documentation. So when you appeal from initial to final, very important that you put everything you can into that final appeal, so that when you want to appeal to PARC, you have everything already laid out and an argument to be made to hopefully lessen that recoupment.
I'll actually ask a follow-up question to something you just mentioned. So how frequently are you seeing in an audit where it does state no documentation accepted? What are some of the common reasons for that?
Yeah, there's a ton of audit results. So you get initial results and it says no post-audit documentation accepted. What I will tell you is, one, that's not always true, and we've been able to successfully navigate through that. So just because the PBM says no doesn't mean it's always a no. They just don't want to bother with it. So there are many ways and times where we will tell you, hey, we think you could be successful here, try this or do this. But we certainly do see that there are a variety of reasons, and sometimes they change. Optum has now decided that they're not going to accept signature logs. If you're missing proof of delivery, sometimes you can get a patient attestation to go back and get it and show that the patient really got the medication. Optum has now said that's going to be no post-audit documentation. So unfortunately, they morph and change over time, depending on the payer, depending on the line of business, things like that. But there are a variety of reasons why you may get that. If it's a telephone order and you didn't have it at the on-site and now you found it, they're not going to accept that. But there are other ways to appeal and go about navigating that process. So I would say just because you see results and it says no post-audit documentation, certainly still engage PAAS to help you navigate that process, so we can walk you through that, talk you through that. And we are very realistic. We don't want to waste your time. We don't want you chasing down doctors to do things that we know aren't going to probably be successful or work for you because you have to go through all the lengths. We're very respectful to say, we think this is low likelihood, or hey, this is a great likelihood, you should really do this. So we're very good about trying to navigate and identify that.
That's great. And I think that's one of those, the reason I asked that question is I definitely remember experiencing those audits and you just make an assumption, well, it is what it is. I have no choices. So it's great to know that there is sometimes an option.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have time for a couple more questions if anyone has any.
Thank you. Hello. You mentioned in your Caremark audit, the one you just had, that you called PAAS and they took care of it for you, they handled it for you. How does that work?
Oh, no. I mean, they assisted me, but I was the one that they told me what I needed to do, right?
Yes, yeah. So we act very much in a consulting role, right? So we don't create documentation. We don't mark up your scripts. We review your scripts, tell you what we see, and how to navigate that. So, for example, a couple of simple examples that very rudimentary. So, if we see a controlled substance and your state requires alphanumeric quantity on a controlled substance and you don't have it on there, we're advising you, hey, be aware of this. If you don't have a DEA number, can you add that back on now before you submit it? Because if you don't have it on there when you submit it, that comes to a post-audit no post-audit documentation acceptable. That's a law violation and maybe not appealable. So we provide consulting and kind of guiding through that process. Here's what we think you should do. Here's what you can do based on your current situation. sometimes, like I mentioned before, you can do more harm than good. So making sure that you don't do something that will actually create a conflict and now make it no post-audit documentation acceptable, where you're putting yourself into a no audit appeal process.
But yeah, PAAS held my hand, but I had to do I did all the work.
Yeah.
Because it was just a mess, but you were there for it, so
Yeah.
thank you. Again.
Hey, I do have a question. So do you work with the PBMs directly? For instance, Caremark, Optum?
So we work through the
Express?
pharmacy. So,
Okay, so they're told what to do and
Yeah.
how to do it, but
yep,
you
we
don't
will
have a
guide them through end to
relationship.
end, tell you what to say. Sometimes if there's an audit supervisor or we feel like you need to contact someone different, we have different approaches and numbers and emails and ways to reach out to the PBM if you're not getting a response or it's not working the way we want to escalate that. But we work through the pharmacy to do that.
Thank you.
Another thing, at the end of the year, we all get that attestation, right? We all get that. We don't know what boxes to check because I feel like they trick us every time. Which one? Offshore? I don't know. Do we have offshore? I don't know. Or do we? So I just send it to them. I'm like, which box do I need to check off? And because they always try to trick you.
Yep.
You'll get a form in the middle of the year. You need to sign this. You're like, well, what is this? I'll just send it to them. Hey, which one? What do I need to do? Because we just had one recently with Florida. I don't even know what it was. It was some Medicaid something.
The ACA, one of the
Yes.
Florida ACA, yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, what is this? And so they explained it to me, what I needed to do, what box I needed to check off, and what training I needed to get done for the pharmacy, the cultural.
Cultural competency
Yes.
training.
So
Yep.
we needed to get that done with Health Mart. I
Yep.
had to go get everybody signed up to do that. So, again, they assist us with that as well.
Yeah, so any credentialing, right? Anything related to PBM, we'll try and help and review. And so if you're having problems credentialing, if you're having problems, you get various PBM communications, we navigate that. And if we can't help you, we'll tell you, hey, that's outside our scope. But we'll certainly try and help with anything that we can related to PBMs. It doesn't hurt to send it to us. We can review it. If we've seen it, we'll gladly provide guidance and support related to that.
We might have time for one more quick question. Do you have a question? No?
Yeah.
Hi, thank you guys for being here. I have a particular question about Humana on-site audit. We've had several of those in the state of Georgia recently, and it's been the same auditor, and she seems to change the rules every time she comes on site. And one of the last ones, the store, we had all the bundles in totes ready to go, in McKesson totes, by the way, ready for her to come on board, and she's very demanding, like, I'm the only one who can open the bundle and pull the prescription out of there. I'm the only one who can look at the signature log list. I'm the only one who can do this. And so we were allowing her to open the bundles, and our pharmacist, there were several missing. Well, he went into, at that particular store, we keep the C2 prescriptions in the metal cabinets. And so he just went in there and pulled the scripts out of the bundle, and each of those like 7 prescriptions that he pulled, she now is not allowing to be part of the audit. And we don't know if that's against Humana. We don't know
Yeah.
what the rules are, and we're trying to figure out, do we get an attorney? So I just was going to see what is your off-the-cuff advice here
well,
today.
it's ridiculous, right? And we certainly see auditors all the time change, and inconsistency between auditors. I'll tell you personally, Optum, I think right now is the worst. I feel like all the time they just have either auditors running in every single direction. They're not applying consistently what their standards are. And so it's no surprise to hear that they're kind of changing the rules of the game. I think it's ridiculous that they can't, because I would argue you can't thumb through my prescription files. Those are HIPAA and PHI that is not related to Humana records. Of all the PBMs, I will say that we have some connection with Humana and we can talk to audit managers. What I traditionally would do in that situation would be I would probably politely escalate that to the supervisor and say, hey, I wanted to share my audit experience. We understand audits. We've been through audits with Humana on-site, but I wanted to share my particular experience with this on-site auditor and how I feel that we're not being treated fairly. I think they are responsive in documenting that, and in particular, again, Humana, being able to escalate that. We've talked to them, and they engage with us. Some PBMs view us as kind of adversarial in nature because we're helping pharmacies through the audit process. But Humana is one that will engage with us, and we do often refer. So regardless of the PBM, what I would do in that circumstance is professionally email the audit supervisor or audit manager and share the experience and have them provide feedback, because it's ridiculous what they're doing. There's no reason, there's no law, there's no policy that they could point to say, no, you can't be the one to pull it out of the pack. There isn't anything in all of Humana's guidance, in all of their literature, that says they have to be able to do that, or it disqualifies the claim from review. So that would be where I'd start. I'll happily give you that name, Pamela, after, and you just let me know or email me, and Jonathan, we'll take care of it and get you guys squared away.
All right. Well, Shada and Trent, thank you both so much. I learned a lot today, so hopefully all of you did as well.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening in.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.